Hi, I'm Jeff Ulatoski, and I'm here today. I'm going to be doing a Lightboard session with you to talk about apps on demand and what we're doing with published apps, which we also call published apps on demand. There are three areas I'd like to focus today. The first is how we actually solve app virtualization at VMware with apps on demand and our app volumes technology. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is some of the challenges that we face as admins with published apps, specifically around technologies like Horizon apps and Citrix virtual apps. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit more about how we evolved the concepts of published apps with the new apps on demand technology. So without further ado, let's get started. So right here on the screen here, you can see I've got Windows as an operating system drawn in here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw some applications in here. So you'll just use some symbols to talk about the different apps that we have on the operating system. And these can be your garden variety applications that you'll see on the operating system. Now, the way Windows works is these operating systems are laid down on the file system, and often registry keys and registry changes are also made for these. Sometimes they include services. But in general, you've got these applications get put into Windows, and then they can be executed by users. So what we've done with app volumes, if I can draw that out here for you, is that we've actually, instead of having this full machine where your C drive contains all of these applications and the registry contains all the files, what we'll do is we'll actually record the, and again, same Windows operating system. When you're packaging, we use our app volumes agent. And the app volumes agent includes the virtualization technology to be able to record and play back those applications. Now, one thing that's very important about app volumes is that it's not a technology that isolates applications. So when we bring applications to the system, we're not isolating them. We're also not a layering technology any longer. We used to have a concept called app stacks, which was layering. And that had its challenges with performance, both by the number of apps that could be on the machine, and also the apps that actually, as you added more apps, basically the different layers would cause challenges with which one was given priority for certain DLLs and other things. So we've solved those problems. And we've come up with a new package format, and we call it a package. And don't want to confuse it with the app packages that require a lot of sequencing and uninstallation and things like that. It's actually very fast. We have actually done a demo of app packaging where you can do an app in 2 minutes, and that includes logging into the machine, the packager getting the machine, and all of that. And we have our Horizon Cloud service, which helps with that as well. But the idea is I have these different applications, and these applications are the same applications you have over there, and the way they're brought to the machine is through this VMDK or VHD file. So we have VMDK for our vSphere solution, which is a hypervisor attach, and then we have VHDs, which can be used across all of the various options. Where we have no vSphere technology. So, for example, on native native Azure, for example, with AVD. So if I show you a little bit here, you can see I've got these different individual packages. One of the things that is important to note is because of the fact that we don't isolate this, even though I'm showing it in a separate box, and that's for delivery. We don't isolate them. So these are actually giving us, a good 99% app compat. We've seen customers come back and tell us, they've packaged 1,200 apps, and they've only had to file service requests for 7 of them to get it packaged. So that was really good data points for us. And the reason that is because we bring the application to the OS, and then our mini filter driver here, the app volumes technology, actually brings it to the operating system as is. So shared registry keys, COM, OLE, all of the things, plugins, things that you would expect would need that application are able to see that application. So if you can install it natively within Windows, typically you can bring it to the machine. There are a couple of caveats there. For example, if it's an app that's tied to a specific machine, has a dongle, Obviously, our technology will bring this app to another machine, and so we want to make sure that those are not specific to that machine or specific to a user, because our technology will allow you to bring these apps to different users. And that brings us to this concept of apps on demand. So this allows us with apps on demand to actually bring the application to the user when they need it. So for example, if I have this application that I had here, I've logged into this machine, I've run these two applications, then when I go and I click on this next application to use it, we actually bring the app to the machine. And it won't be an add remove program, so it'll be a very clean Windows machine, which everyone knows is the best Windows machine. But as you add on your apps, you're able to build that session for the user. And effectively, we've commoditized Windows as a desktop for doing work, but we're able to bring those applications to them as they need them. And so this apps on demand technology allows us to take app delivery a step further. We're not bringing them at login, we're not waiting for apps to be delivered. We're not keeping them on the machines, and I'll talk about that in a second, but we're actually able to bring the app on demand as the user needs it. And now to that point, over here in this particular model, especially with some of the clouds out there that we have today, you'll see that this particular, if we've got this particular operating system here, maybe you need a certain amount of space for this operating system, and maybe you're starting with 128 gigs for your hard drive. Now, when you start adding these applications, so let's say this one is, let's use an example like Adobe Reader. We actually thought that there was a bug in the software because of the fact that it was taking 3 gigabytes in a template. It was supposed to be what we thought 600 megabytes, but what we've noticed is over the years, it's actually grown to 3 gigabytes. And so take something as simple and something as pervasive as Adobe Reader, and now you're talking about adding 3 gigabytes. Well, what if you're at like 127 gigabytes already with the other apps that you've got installed, and then you put on Adobe Reader, and now you're at 130? Well, guess what? There isn't 130 for some of these cloud solutions out there, so now you're talking about going up to 256 for your machine. So I should probably write this down here, 256, you can see here. Now I have to pay more money for this particular machine because I've updated this particular machine with some more apps. So in the traditional model, as you add more apps, you have to allow for more space. In this model, these don't actually reside on the machine itself. They're actually on a file share where the user is accessing them, and we can have that same 3 gigabytes be delivered to 1,000 machines, and it's still 3 gigabytes. It's not 3 terabytes at that point. So you've actually, not only have you saved space, also you have this capability where you're not ratcheting up your individual desktops for your users. So this same application would be 3 gigabytes, but it's shared across all of the other machines that are out there. And so this is pretty much the value that we're able to provide. We've got the 99% app compat, we've got the capability of saving hard drive space, but most importantly, we're able to give apps to users as they need it. There's no way that I could possibly know in IT I don't even know what apps I'm going to use from a day-to-day basis. How could I know what 500, 1,000, 10,000 users are going to use on a day-to-day basis? So apps on demand allows us to meet the needs of the users daily as they need it.